This season preview is brought to you by Manscaped's brand new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. This luxurious lather cleanses and nourishes in just one step. Using coconut water, green tea, and aloe, this non-greasy daily formula is naturally hydrating and rich in antioxidants to revitalize the look and feel of your hair. So head on over to manscaped.com and use the promo code SACCITY for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. The new Ultra Premium 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner from Manscaped. Take care of hair everywhere.
Let's get on to our Cleveland Browns season preview. We start things off with the offensive side of the ball. Of course, you're not going to talk Browns without bringing up this man's name, Deshaun Watson. But this time, we're not actually going to be talking about Deshaun Watson for once. We're going to talk about what this offense looks like outside of Watson. AJ, can you tell us what we should expect to see this season from a Deshaun Watson-less offense for the Browns?
I think that I can. Honestly, when it comes to the Browns and without Deshaun Watson, I expect this offense to look a lot like it did the season prior. And they're going to be running the ball heavy and down everyone's throat. This is an offense that has been predicated on the run for multiple seasons. You got guys back there like Nick Chubb. You got guys like Kareem Hunt. You got D'Ernest Johnson in that third role. I look at what they did last season. You got Nick Chubb, who ran the ball 228 times in 14 games. You got guys, Kareem Hunt had 78 rushes in just 8 games. He was on pace for over 160. D'Ernest Johnson actually had the rush for 100 times last season. So these guys love to run the ball. This is something I think they're going to do. When you look at the fact that they have Jacoby Brissett back there, this is a guy that we talked about as one of the most solid backups in the NFL. And that's the reason they brought him in here, was to hold it down when it was supposed to be a 6-game season. Now that it's a 6-game suspension for Watson. Now that it's 11 games, I think Stefanski knows what he has in Jacoby Brissett, a guy who may not make a lot of mistakes, a guy who may not turn the ball over frequently, but he's also not going to do anything special and win you games. Your job is to protect his weaknesses by predicating it on the run, getting into the play action, and getting passes and things that he can do, and I guess for all intents and purposes, remain safe as Jacoby Brissett as a game manager in this offense. So I expect Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and maybe a little D'Ernest Johnson to be running the ball a lot more this season, like you saw a lot of it last year.
Is this offense going to look exactly like it did with when Baker Mayfield was the quarterback?
Yep. It's exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's very. I feel like it's very sideways. I mean, you can say Baker Mayfield is better than Jacoby Brissett. I understand that. There's levels to it.
You just said it right. You said it right there with the fact that it's going to be. You have to basically cover Jacoby Brissett's weaknesses with the running game, with everything else. That's exactly what they did with Baker Mayfield. Like, that's exactly what they did. You cover Baker Mayfield's weaknesses with handing the rock to Nick Chubb, giving it to Kareem Hunt, to Ernest John. Like, that's what they do with Baker Mayfield. Like, basically what I just heard is this is going from Baker
movement
to exactly.
The reason it's not completely lateral is because of the upside that Baker provides. There are going to be throws, and we've seen it from Baker, and you're like, dude, that's why he was the number 1 pick. And you don't see that from Jacoby Brissett. But on the other end of that, it's also a little bit less risk, because Jacoby Brissett is also a guy that's not going to throw into triple coverage and not going to, when he gets to his third read, just throw the ball up because he wants to or hold on to the ball too long. Like, he's smart enough. Not that Baker's dumb, but he's in the quarterback room. He's smart enough to know when he needs to get rid of the ball, who he should check down to. Baker is a hero. Baker often plays hero ball, and unfortunately, with his arm strength and his talent that he actually does have, he gets him into trouble. So this will look a lot like the Baker Mayfield of 2 years ago, I think, for the Browns, where he was very protective of the football. He played extremely well, and he didn't try to do too much. I think Jacoby Brissett can do that, but that is also then going to limit how far the Cleveland Browns can go. However, we're talking the regular season. So if Jacoby Brissett can come in and play like Baker Mayfield did 2 years ago for 10 weeks, they can go 5-5. They can go 4-5 or 6-4, or 4-6, and still be right there when Deshaun Watson comes back. And that's when you're asking your superstar quarterback that you gave $230 million to then elevate you. So I've been thinking about this a lot. And I'm not as concerned as I thought I would be with Deshaun Watson missing the first 10, 11 weeks. Like, I think Cleveland has a solid roster and is good enough to win some games. How many games? You'll have to wait till I give you my prediction. But I do think they're solid enough to win some games.
Well, here's the thing, too, and I'll try to be quick with this. Last year, a lot of people talk about what happened with Jacoby in Miami, but it was never a solid timeline. It was maybe Tua is back this week, maybe Tua is back the next week, so you prepare a little different. When Jacoby Brissett took over for Andrew Luck in 2019, knew he was a guy. He wasn't terrible. He wasn't horrible. He was serviceable. I think him going in, knowing it's 11 weeks that he's doing this, I think he's going to prepare the correct way and be ready. And on the Jimmy G front, you don't go get a guy for 11 games one season and then have no idea what you're going to do with them the next. So I think we should put that to bed, expect Jacoby Brissett to be in here for 11 games and hope that he can keep them on the upside. So when Deshaun Watson gets back, hopefully he can take them to the next step and into the playoffs.
Yeah. Speaking of the next step, Aaron, I'm going to speaking of the next step on the defensive side of the ball, this Cleveland Browns team, that's got to be that's got to be their strongest side is the defense. You got Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, absolute dogs on defense. Even when you throw in Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, those guys, like, this is a very good defense. And we saw it last year, arguably one of the best. Aaron, what's the next step? What's that next level for this Browns defense look like?
Championship defense. Can't just be a good defense. Like, your defense has to carry you to wins. We're talking about getting to the quarterback at ease like a Myles Garrett does, but it has to be in key pivotal moments in games to close out games. The Aaron Donald in the Super Bowl making the 4th down play so that a team can't go down and score the game-winning touchdown. It is now time for them to step up, and with all that young talent to actually win ball games for them. They don't have the luxury right now of having a Deshaun Watson that can go out and win their first 11 games to come back and throw the ball 350 yards, 4 touchdowns, and go win a game. They have to stop people, and they have to stop people in the moments that matter, not just for a first half or not just for 3 quarters. But when teams are going down to win games, they have to come up with the big stops. It has to be about the defense. It has to start there, and it has to start with Myles Garrett. He has to be, and again, he's already been all worldly. He has to be that guy that says, follow me. I'm going to get to the quarterback every play, and I'm going to wreak havoc. And that allows those backing guys to create plays and those linebackers to run freely around the field and do what they love to do. So to me, it's all about, you talk about that next step. It's about having a different mentality. We're not the Cleveland Browns with a good defense. It's a championship defense. We are a Super Bowl team with our defense playing yada, yada this way. So, and I think if they have that mindset, they definitely have the talent to do it.
Yeah.
This is old school football. Run the ball, stop the run.
Yeah. And you talk about that getting to that next level, that defense has to be able to finish those games. Last season, the Cleveland Browns ranked 24th in the NFL in terms of points per game allowed in the 4th quarter. So that is that next step. That's that next level for the Cleveland Browns. You have to be able to finish the job, not allow those points come in those in the 4th quarter. And it's funny because we talk about, like, if you miss our shows, we talk about the Chargers defense and how they have to get better and how they have to prove it. They were the worst in the NFL in terms of 4th quarter points allowed. Like, that's that similar situation. I'd compare this Browns defense, although it's much better than, I shouldn't say much better. It's a better defense, a more proven defense than the Chargers. Both teams have to find that next level and finish off games. Be the reason why you win. So
talent versus production. I say this all the time. Like, look, on paper, the Browns are loaded. We talk about it all the time. But I also said that, the Chargers are loaded name-wise, but those names have to play. It's just not names on paper. You could argue that I mentioned Green Bay being the best defense in football this year. You could argue that the Browns have just as talented of a roster on defense as Green Bay, if not maybe more. But I trust Green Bay's defense a lot more than I trust the Cleveland Browns defense right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they do have one of the best defenses, at least on paper. I mean,
on paper,
Garrett, Delpit.
That's great. Name all those names. Yeah. On paper, it's great, but you just gave the opposite of why it's not, because they give up 24 points or whatever in the 4th quarter. They don't close games. Yeah, they don't close games.
Well, the issue too is these guys. The issue, too, is these guys have been injured. So being young and having been injured, they haven't had the reps. They haven't had the game experience that you would need for them to be coming into this season with Deshaun Watson. Imagine if it was 6 games and then being able to take that next step just because they were a quarterback away. So maybe while we feel they're a quarterback away, this back end of that defense still does have a lot to learn. So that's why Aaron's point about Myles Garrett and guys like Jadeveon Clowney getting to the QB is so imperative this upcoming season.
AJ, what are you looking out for most when it comes to the Browns schedule? Or not to the Browns schedule, but just the overall season for the Browns. What are you looking at most?
So, we've had some good conversations about the defense, good conversation about the run game. I'm going to go back to Jacoby Brissett, and what I'm going to be looking for is his go-to guys. We understand, like I said, I think they're going to run the ball a lot, but you can't just run the ball. Jacoby Brissett is going to have to make some throws throughout the course of the season. And we've seen him take a liking to David Njoku, and if he can stay healthy, I think he could have one of those better seasons of a tight end, the one we've been waiting for since he's come into the league. We look for Amari Cooper to get back on track, and not that he's been bad, but we watched a guy like CeeDee Lamb take away from him last season. We had questions about what was going on with him last season, so I look at those two guys, David Njoku and Amari Cooper, and see if those end up being the targets that Jacoby Brissett looks for as a security blanket in the middle of the field and a security blanket outside and down the field when he has to make throws and make them count.
To build on that, like the wide receiver position is going to be interesting for the Browns. Like that's like who is going to be that guy that steps up beyond Amari Cooper to help? Because it's going to be Brissett. Yeah. He's going to need help, and you can't just run like we've seen it many times in Cleveland last year. You can't just run the ball all the time. You have to be able to find some type of success in the passing game, and Brissett's going to be key, and those wide receivers are going to be key.
Yeah, AJ brought up Jacoby Brissett's time in Indianapolis when he went down, when Andrew Luck went down in 2019. And if you really look at that team, they're built very similar to the way the Cleveland Browns are built. Really good defense, good offensive line, good running game. And they have one wide receiver that's proven, and that's Amari Cooper. Back then it was T.Y. Hilton. And I think people forget how good Jacoby Brissett was that year. It wasn't just that he was like keeping them afloat. That team was supposed to be a Super Bowl caliber team. They didn't make it to the Super Bowl, but during Jacoby Brissett's time, he went 7-8, almost 500. And that's what we're asking from him for the Browns. We're not asking Jacoby Brissett to go out and win 8-3. And, then you start wondering, man, maybe we should just stick with him. We're asking for him to be serviceable and to be decent enough. That year, he threw 18 touchdowns to just 6 interceptions. He threw for almost 3,000 yards in those games. Like, that is the Jacoby Brissett that has to show up now. And I think to AJ's point, they know it's him now. He knows it's him. He knows he gets 11 games to prove himself as a quarterback, not for the Cleveland Browns, because we know he's not the future for them, but for the next team that may want to take a shot on him. So I think that Jacoby Brissett is more than capable. And I think he has the weapons. I think Amari Cooper and then you add in guys, the young guys like David Bell and Donovan Peoples-Jones and some of those guys. I think David Njoku, I think they'll be fine. I really do. I think that the Browns are going to be better offensively than we think they are this season.
How many games?
How many games? Hold on, I got to get it. A, B, C, D, Cleveland.
But this is with just Brissett. How many games do they win with Brissett?
Yeah, I got that.
You do have that.
I got that right here. Originally, I had them going 9-8 on the season. That was with Deshaun Watson missing, I believe, 10 games, either 8 or 10 games. And I had them going 9-8 on the season. So, but I also had them winning 6 of their last 7. So right now I have Jacoby Brissett winning 4 games out of the 11 weeks. And it's just a matter of the matchups being tougher. I think they can beat the Jets. I think they can beat the Falcons. I think they can beat the Patriots, to be honest. And then you get a win in there somewhere, whether that's maybe Pittsburgh, maybe Carolina that first week. That's what I have. And then outside of that, they're not beating Miami. They're not beating Bengals, Baltimore, Buffalo, none of those teams. But then Deshaun Watson comes back week 12, and you get Deshaun Watson, and I think they go on a run. I really do.
Week 13.
Whatever week he comes back, they go on a run. I think they win. I think they win at least 5 of their last 6 games, perhaps all 6.
Oh, yeah.
But I think it's 5 of their last 6, and they end up going 9-8.
Yeah. Go ahead, AJ.
I don't differ too much. I actually, though, I actually do believe that they can beat Miami. Miami's got a great offense, but we were just talking about a defense that has to show up, but we believe if they can be pretty serviceable. And while on Miami side of the ball, they got a great secondary, but they lost some pieces in the middle. Jalen Phillips still has some time to take a step forward. I think that I don't know if their pass rush is as formidable as I'm remembering it should be. If I recall correctly, that was what their issue was. So, I mean, I don't think that, Miami beating Cleveland is a no-brainer by any means. I definitely think they have a chance to take that W, and I would give them 5 wins, in my opinion, with Jacoby Brissett. But that's the only place I really would differ.
Disrespect to Miami's defense. They were top 10 defense last year. Points allowed. They were like number 8.
All right. Well, I mean, I gave them their credit for the secondary. I mean, if I recall correctly, their pass rush is something that's been talked about for a while. Kyle Van Noy was a blessing to that team last season, and he's no longer there. Like that's a big deal to me. Yeah, I mean, I love Raekwon Davis. I love Agba. Again, Jalen Phillips needs to step forward. Landon Roberts, he showed some sparks, but I mean, other than Xavier Howard and Javon Holland and Byron Jones, like
they were 5th in the league in sacks. I'm sorry, 6th in the league in sacks last year. Just saying.
Okay, it doesn't feel like it.
I don't care what it feels like. I'm telling you what the facts are. That defense balled out last year.
Yeah,
that defense balled out. That defense wasn't the issue with Miami. It was their running game and then their explosiveness on outside.
That also took the last 7 games of the year to do it. Like, I mean, it took a long time for this to come to fruition. So you were hoping that this rolls right into the same thing of this season. All I'm saying is I don't think it is a no-brainer. I don't think it's a done deal. The confidence level of a Miami going in there and beating Cleveland, if Jacoby Brissett has been on his game, if this defense has stepped up the way we are expecting or thinking they should off paper, I mean, you're talking about a very formidable defense with a great back end and a great pass rush. So at the very least, you're talking about a dogfight that can go to the end, and then the better team wins in the end of the game. And we've seen Miami let some games in the last couple minutes go away.
I understand your point.
I think I do agree that game is a toss-up. Another,
but you guys hate Miami. To be real,
I do not hate Miami by any means.
Neither one of you guys think Miami's going to be that. Well, I know AJ actually doesn't. Vinny, you've hated Miami since last year. You never give them credit. You didn't give them credit last year. You didn't give them credit last year. You don't believe in Tua. We already know this.
You don't believe in Tyreek.
That was never. I guess I do have them at 8 and 9.
You don't believe in Miami, and that's okay. A lot of people don't. It's not.
I have a hard time. So that game right there, and this is like when we covered the Dolphins, when we do our season preview for the Dolphins, it's games like this game against Cleveland that's going to be like the defining. Like when I asked that question, like what's the defining moment? Like it's games like this against Cleveland that is a defining moment to me because Cleveland has a great pass rush. They have a team that's going to make Tua have to go out and win them that football game, I think. And I'm not saying we can't.
This is what I find funny though. We can sit here and we can boost up, and I'm telling you, I agree. I think Cleveland's pass rush is great. We boost up Cleveland's pass rush, but their pass rush wasn't as good as the Miami's last year. Their defense wasn't as good as Miami's last year.
I'm not saying. I didn't.
What
say
I'm saying is.
What I'm saying is no. What I'm saying is no. Let me finish here. What I'm just saying is both these teams have a very good pass rush. It's going to be a true test for Tua how he handles this pass rush.
I'm just wondering where we get in this talk. Like we automatically assume it's a toss-up game. Can you bring the schedule back up one more time? At Miami, first of all, we all better agree on this point. Playing at Miami is tough. We all know that. It's at Miami. And a team that outperformed last year, got better in the offseason in adding weapons, was a better defense last year, and then we just assume. And then the team that they're going against, we're not sure about the quarterback. We're questioning a defense that has been bad in fourth quarters, and then we just say, oh, well, this game's a toss-up. Like, to me, everything points to Miami being set and moving in the right direction, and Cleveland, like, here, and we're not sure which direction they're actually moving in. That's all. Yes.
Last season, the Miami Dolphins actually had a worse fourth quarter defense than the Cleveland Browns.
Cool.
Just to throw that one out there. I think it's a toss-up because of how good both these teams are, at least on the defensive side of the ball. We haven't seen it with. I want to see it with Tua and this offense this year. I want to see it. I didn't see it last year with this offense.
What didn't you see?
That they can be consistently good. That they can be a consistently good offense. I saw it that back half of the season. I saw their losing streak, and then I saw the back half of the season them beat up on teams, and then have a nice little run. I want to see it consistently from this team. I'm not saying
all I know is Tua Tagovailoa is 13-8 as a quarterback.
This is not about a Miami thing. I do think it is closer to a toss-up than you do, Aaron, and AJ thinks it's a toss-up as well. Let's just go into our record predictions here for this team, for the Browns. I thought it was interesting the way we had it, because we didn't know the suspension for Deshaun Watson early on in the offseason, and we're kind of just spitballing. I have the Cleveland Browns going 9-8. That was what I had in the offseason, and I think I'm going to. Oh man, how many games can Jacoby Brissett have when? Oh man, I'm gonna say 8-9 for the Cleveland Browns. 8-9.
9-8 for me. I said it. I'll stick with it. 9-8.
With giving Jacoby the 5, I have him at 10-7. And I think Deshaun comes back and also plays well in those last 6 games.
Can we do a little exercise here, gentlemen? I want to look at the schedule and actually look and see how many games Jacoby Brissett will win in my eyes, because I haven't gotten a chance to really do this. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, all right.
I think they lose to Carolina. I think they beat the Jets. I think they lose to Pittsburgh. I think they beat Atlanta. So that's 2-2. Okay, we're good here. They lose to LA. I think they beat New England. 3-3. They lose to Baltimore. Lose to Cincy. Man, okay, all right. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with 8-9. I'm gonna stick with 8-9. That's the way I'm rolling here. 8-9 Cleveland Browns. Let's get into some odds. Some prop bets for our Cleveland Browns. Over 8.5 wins. We just talked about it. I'm not taking that bet. Seems like you gentlemen might. But over 10.5 Nick Chubb rushing touchdowns at -105. And Myles Garrett to have the most sacks in the league next season is at +750. He has not led the league in sacks in his career, so maybe this will be the year. He's at +750. Aaron, what prop bet are you locking in?
I will take the over 8.5. Take the plus money there. I think Jacoby Brissett can win 4 games.
And see, that's interesting that you've done that, because in past season preview shows, the teams that you have on that border of like whatever that line is of 8.5, whatever it may be, there has been times where you have not gone with that as your locked and loaded bet, even though you did predict that. So
yeah, because those teams aren't getting an all-pro quarterback coming back at a certain time.
It's fair. I just wanted to point that out to where like some people may see that and say, okay, you lock in that bet because you just said they have 9 wins, but it's not as simple as that, because you've done that before where you've picked them.
Yeah, again, this is solely predicated on the fact that Deshaun Watson comes back, and I believe Deshaun Watson back in that part of that schedule, they win all those games. Like, I don't think they'll lose. I do think they're that good of a football team with a quarterback of his caliber. I may be wrong, and some people may not believe it, but I think Deshaun Watson's that good.
Yeah. AJ, what do you got?
I am also going to take the over on the wins. The other one I was looking at, I probably would have taken Nick Chubb, but I mean, he's only gone over 10 touchdowns one season in a row, and ironically, it was the season he played basically the least amount of games as a full season. So he normally finishes right at 8. So I'm also going to lock in 8.5 wins, seeing as I have Jacoby at 5. And you can't tell me Deshaun Watson ain't good for at least 3. So at least 4, I guess. So yeah, I'm going to lock in the wins as well.
All right. AJ, it's time. Wait, what's that face for?
Why are we switching it up?
Why are we switching what up?
Our power rankings.
What do you mean switching it up? Oh, because of this. Because so let's pull the curtain back and we'll talk about this. The power rankings here, the way this is shaping up, we have done this to where. Just listen to me.
I'm listening. Okay. Don't try to judge me by my face. Go.
It'll be okay. It'll be okay. I don't need the pouty puss over there. Just pouting because you
pouting. Trust me. You'll know if I'm pouting. I ain't pouting. I'm about to get in that ass.
What? Like slightly pouting. The reason I'm doing this is because the way our rankings have shaped out, where you have the Browns at 18. AJ has them where they ended up. So the reason why I'm going to AJ on this at 20 at where they are is because he will be able to give a little bit more insight on why they are where they are, because they're farther down than where you have them.
That's not the point, Vinny. These are consensus rankings. You just randomly, because they're further down because you and AJ agree. But that has nothing to do with
I honestly don't have a rankings here.
Well, you have to. Then you can't just then you just picked where AJ had them?
Yep. Well, no, honestly, so let's just get into it.
Oh my God, this makes no sense. These are supposed to be consensus rankings.
I could not put, so the way this is working here, sorry, AJ, you're losing your moment here. The Browns fall in at the 22 spot. Aaron had him at 18. AJ had him at 22. I don't think the Cleveland Browns with Jacoby Brissett is better than.
You already got it wrong anyways. That's the wrong graphic because the Denver's not 21, the Chargers aren't 19, and the Vegas Raiders aren't 20. So we want to pull the curtain back. Let's put it all the way back. Those are the wrong rankings you have up there.
What? No, they're not.
Yes, they are. The Chargers, Raiders, and Broncos are all like 12, 13, and 14.
Oh my God. I didn't change the template. No.
Jesus Christ, man. I came out with such a hard-hitting take on Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers, and this show has just went to shit. Because you know why? That's karma for going in a different direction than going to what we've been doing. Consistency is key.
I didn't change.
Well, I think he went that way because he didn't change the template. Had he done the template right, he would not have.
No, because even his logic is stupid. I'm not justifying that Cleveland's 18 or 20. I'm just 26. I'm telling the people where the consensus rankings we have. So I could think they're 1. I'm not going to be like, well, they're 1, but we have no. This is what we have in their consensus between all three of our brains. This is where they fall. That's it. There's no opinion here. It's just the consensus rankings. Don't try to change things, man. This is what happens when you change
now.
things.
The Vikings are at 17. The Cardinals are 18, and there's no one behind them. That's where we're at here. So with that being the case, we're going to work this out on the show here. If you have them at 18, AJ, you have them at 22. I think 20 would be a great spot for the Cleveland Browns. I think 20 would be a great spot for the Cleveland Browns. So that's where we're going to put them. Cleveland Browns
great idea.
Are coming in.
Put them at 20.
At number 20.
Vinny, we can't call these consensus rankings if you don't have an opinion.
I do have an opinion. That's how they end up where they are.
No, all you end up doing is take mine and AJ's and go in the middle.
I'm just the host, man. I'm just the host.
God,
I'm not smart. I'm not smart at these things. Hence why we're in this mess.
Can I do the power ranking reveal now?
You can.
All right. For the Browns, they come in at number 20, and we don't need to explain why, because Vinny already told us why, because he screwed up. So the Cleveland Browns, a lot of question marks, obviously. We're not sure about the quarterback position. Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett. We talked about the defense, but they slot in at number 20 on the Sac City preseason power rankings.